Good day and welcome. You're watching Sint Maarten NEWSDESK, where we bring you the latest and most important stories around the island and beyond. With your anchor crew, Alston Lawrence, Glenda York, Tiziana Hart, and Mizzy with the Sunshine Report. This broadcast is brought to you by TV15 and proudly produced by Great Bay Media Studios in Philipsburg, Sint Maarten. And now, let's jump straight into today's top headlines.
Police face gunfire as crime crackdown intensifies across Sint Maarten. The police force is investigating a brazen attack after officers came under gunfire while responding to an attempted scooter theft in Cold Bay early Tuesday morning. Just after 4 a.m., officers arrived on Union Road following reports of suspicious activity. Police say they encountered two suspects dressed in dark clothing who allegedly pointed a firearm at the responding patrol. Officers fired in self-defense and the suspects reportedly returned fire before fleeing into nearby bushes. A large search followed, but the suspects escaped. No officers were injured, although police described the incident as traumatic. Less than 24 hours later, officers made another major breakthrough during a routine patrol in Dutch Quarter around 3:30 Wednesday morning. Police stopped a vehicle carrying 5 men after noticing 2 occupants were dressed entirely in black with their faces covered. A search uncovered a firearm and several items believed to be linked to a planned criminal activity. All 5 suspects were arrested and remain in custody while detectives continue their investigation. In a separate case, Customs Sint Maarten confirmed that officers intercepted 20 kilograms of cocaine hidden inside a shipping container destined for the Netherlands. The seizure made in April led to a joint investigation with Dutch authorities and the recent arrest of 2 suspects in the Netherlands, highlighting continued cooperation across the kingdom in combating international drug trafficking. Meanwhile, detectives are also expanding an investigation into an alleged identity theft and fake driver's license network. 1 suspect is now in custody as authorities examine whether additional people were involved and whether weaknesses in government systems were exploited to obtain fraudulent identification documents. Police are urging anyone with information related to these investigations to contact the police force or the anonymous tip line at 9300. Court orders flow to lift bank attachments on Telem accounts. The Court of First Instance has ordered the immediate removal of bank attachments placed by Flow on the accounts of the Telem Group, ruling that the action had left the local telecommunications provider effectively financially crippled. The attachments totaling more than 1.2 million guilders were imposed as part of a dispute over unpaid telecommunications service fees. While the court found that Flow has the right to continue pursuing its claim through civil proceedings, it concluded that freezing Telem's accounts caused greater harm than allowing the dispute to continue without the attachments. According to the ruling, the frozen accounts made it difficult for Telem to pay employees and suppliers, threatening the company's day-to-day operations. The legal dispute centers on a long-running financial disagreement between the 2 telecom providers over services provided in Sint Maarten and Curaçao. Telem argues that accounting adjustments and credits issued by Flow mean the debt should be offset, while Flow maintains the outstanding balance remains valid. The court emphasized that its decision does not determine who is ultimately right. Instead, it clears the way for both companies to present their full arguments in a civil trial while allowing Telem to resume normal business operations. GEBE ends talks with consumer group, moves to direct customer communication. NVGEBE says it will no longer continue discussions with the Association for Consumer Protection, Sint Maarten, and will instead communicate directly with customers about billing, payment options, and account support. In a statement issued Tuesday, the utility company said its priority is to provide clear and accurate information through its own official channels, customer care team, and the media. Temporary manager Iris Arundel said, GEBE first met with a consumer group to help bridge the gap between the company and the public. But according to GB, the discussions created more confusion and concern instead of helping customers get straightforward answers. The company says its immediate focus is helping customers become current with their 2026 utility payments. Once those current obligations are addressed, GB plans to introduce a separate approach for older balances from 2022 to 2025. Arundel said, rebuilding trust requires empathy, transparency, and honest communication directly with customers. GEB is also urging the public to avoid rumors and unofficial interpretations of company policy, reminding customers that every account is different. The company says customers with questions about bills, payment arrangements, or support options should contact GEBE directly through its customer care channels.
Hello, my people. My name is Glenda York of Sit, Sip and Chat and Moms in Paradise podcast. You can find us on TV 15 Sint Maarten, TVC St. Kitts, and on YouTube. Reporting from Great Bay Media Studios in Sint Maarten, your NEWSDESK feature story is coming up. But first, here is Mizzy with the Sunshine Report.
Hey there, it's Mizzy with the Sunshine Report, straight out of Sunshine City, Sint Maarten, bringing you the warmth and the sunshine you need to kickstart your day. So let's dive in today's forecast and see how the skies are treating us.
My lord, I heard there's a lot of teams that are coming to Battle of the Fittest this year. And I also heard that the Spanish team is coming back. How can we win? This is madness. Madness? This is Battle of the Fittest! This is where they die! This is where we win! This is war!
From June the 20th to July the 4th, 2026 is the Battle of the Fittest 10 basketball tournament live from the legendary NEWSDESK Sport Auditorium, featuring top teams from across the Caribbean: St. Kitts, Stacia, Dominica, Sint Maarten, British Virgin Island, the Dominican Republic, Curacao, and Aruba. $10,000 up for grabs. This is where legends are made. The Battle of the Fittest 10 basketball tournament from June the 20th to July the 4th at the NEWSDESK Sports Auditorium. Bring your A game because only the strong will survive.
This is war!
You could talk to your family, talk to your friends. Affordability and convenience. Community connection, that makes sense. Reliability with experience. Hey, for every life, every adventure. Number one provider, they got ya. We tell them your data is always on. You can opt out when you never fair. I know, tell them it's there. Connectivity, that's what I like. Flexibility, that's what I like. Reliability, that's what I like. Tell them, sign me up for life. Tell them we always on. For every moment when you want more. Come tell them we always on. Stay connected when you want to go. Come tell them we always on. For every moment when you want more. Tell them we always on. Stay connected when you want to run.
All Waste in Place announces rebrand after nearly 50 years. After serving St. Maarten for nearly 5 decades, All Waste in Place NV, or AWIP, is preparing to launch a new brand identity. The waste company says the rebrand reflects its growth and its commitment to innovation while maintaining the same dependable service the community has relied on for generations. According to the company, the new look is more than updated logos and vehicles. It represents a renewed focus on professionalism, progress, and preparing for the future while continuing to keep St. Maarten clean and well maintained. AWIP, All Waste in Place, also announced plans to explore new recycling methods and other sustainable waste management practices aimed at supporting the island's long-term environmental goals. The company says any future initiatives will be introduced through careful planning and public awareness to ensure practical benefits for community. As it prepares to unveil its refreshed identity, All Waste in Place thank residents and businesses for their continued trust and support over the past 50 years, saying the next chapter will build on the same commitment to serving St. Maarten with care, consistency, and pride. St. Maarten students sweep Regional Climate Resilience Awards. St. Maarten students have swept the top 3 awards in a regional UNESCO Climate Resilience competition. Students from St. Maarten Academy and MAC Comprehensive Secondary Education took first, second, and third place in the After the Storm Youth Designing Climate Resilience for the Caribbean project. Sint Maarten Academy won first place with a geodesic hurricane-resistant house, inspired by the strength of a turtle shell. The model was designed to better withstand hurricane-force winds by spreading wind pressure across the structure. MAC CSC also earned second place with a youth waste management and climate resilience plan for St. Maarten. The students show how poor waste disposal and blocked drainage make flooding worse during storms. St. Maarten Academy also took third place with an adaptive hurricane-resilient wind turbine. The design allows the turbine to fold its blades and retract its mast during dangerous winds, then return to operation when conditions improve. The competition included schools from Curaçao, Jamaica, and St. Maarten, making the local sweep a major achievement. Organizers say the project challenged Caribbean youth to think critically about climate change, disaster readiness, and sustainable development. For St. Maarten, the win shows that young people are not only learning about resilience, they are already helping design it. St. Maarten Library uses influencers to promote reading. The St. Maarten Library is using local influencers to help bring reading, literacy, and lifelong learning back into the spotlight. Last Saturday, June 27, the library hosted its Influencer Open House, Discover Your Library, welcoming more than 40 attendees, including families, community members, influencers, and local stakeholders. The event highlighted the library's books, programs, digital platforms, and online reading tools, including the Libby app and the National Library of the Netherlands ebook platform. Local influencers took part by exploring the library and sharing their experience with their audiences, helping extend the library's message beyond the building and onto social media. Organizers Deshane Matthew York said the goal is to reconnect people with books and remind the community that reading is not only educational, but enjoyable and empowering. Junior Queen of St. Maarten, Zoe Fitzpatrick Aventurin, also attended and encouraged young people to read more. The event led to new library memberships and renewed interest in library services. For the St. Maarten Library, the message is clear. The library is not just a place for books, it is a space for creativity, connection, and community growth.
Let's put everything on the table. People always give their opinion, and you can either take it or crunch it. Let them judge. We give in to the most irresistible flavor. We devour every nugget that falls in our hands, especially when it's our crunchy fried chicken. And let the crumbs fly if needed. Let them keep judging. We'll keep indulging. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
You could talk to your family, talk to your friends. Affordability and convenience. Community connection, that makes sense. Reliability with experience. Hey, for every laugh, every adventure. Number one provider, they got ya. We tell them your data is always on. You can opt out whenever you want. Tell them we always on. For every moment when you want more. Tell them we always on. Stay connected when you want to roll. Control my data, yeah, yeah, yeah. Always connected every time, everywhere. Money low, but I never fair. I know, tell them is there. Connectivity, that's what I like. Flexibility, that's what I like. Reliability, that's what I like. Tell them, sign me up for life. Tell them we always on. For every moment when you want more. Come tell them we always on. Stay connected when you want to go. Come tell them we always on. For every moment when you want more. Tell them we always on. Stay connected when you want to roll.
Before we wrap up, we take a moment each day to check in with our neighbors across the region. There's always a story worth paying attention to. Here's today's regional headline.
Passengers rescued after St. Kitts Nevis ferry sinks. A frightening ferry emergency in St. Kitts and Nevis ended with every passenger and crew member rescued safely. The inter-island ferry Apple Cider began sinking Monday morning shortly after leaving the Basse-Terre ferry terminal for Charlestown, Nevis. Reports say the vessel had not yet passed the Western Cruise Pier when passengers heard a loud noise and water began entering the cabin. The emergency triggered a fast rescue operation involving the St. Kitts and Nevis Coast Guard, nearby vessels, fishermen, and civilians. The MV Makana and several local boats rushed to the area to help evacuate passengers from the sinking ferry. Officials confirmed that all 47 passengers and crew members survived. Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew and Nevis Premier Mark Brantley both praised the rescue teams, hospital staff, and civilians who responded quickly. Authorities have not yet confirmed what caused the ferry to take on water. A marine investigation is expected to examine whether mechanical failure, structural damage, human error, or another issue was involved. The incident matters across the Caribbean, where inter-island ferries remain a vital link for workers, students, residents, and visitors. Here's a quick fact. St. Kitts and Nevis is a two-island federation, and the ferry route between Basse-Terre and Charlestown is one of its most important daily transportation links.
Welcome back. Each day we take a moment to go beyond the headlines and look deeper into the issues, people, and conversations shaping life here on Sint Maarten. Welcome to today's NEWSDESK feature.
Sint Maarten's population is continuing to grow, slowly but steadily. New figures released by the Department of Statistics show that as of January 1st, 2025, the country's estimated population stood at 42,449 people. That represents an increase of about 183 people compared with the year before, a growth of roughly 0.4%. On paper, that may sound small, but for a small island with limited land, high housing costs, pressure on public services, and an economy built largely around tourism, even modest population growth has real consequences. The new estimates are based on births, deaths, registered arrivals, and registered departures, using data from the Civil Registry Department. Stat says the figures have also been aligned with the 2022 population and housing census, which counted 41,902 people. That is important because it gives government and the public a more reliable foundation for planning. According to Stat Department, known as Stat, St. Maarten's latest growth came from two sources. About 52% came from natural increase, meaning more births than deaths. The other 48% came from net migration, meaning more people moved to St. Maarten than left. That balance tells a bigger story about the island. People are still choosing St. Maarten as a place to live, work, invest, and build a future. At the same time, the country continues to grow through its own families and younger generations. But growth also brings questions. Where will people live? Will housing keep pace with demand? Can schools, healthcare services, roads, utilities, and public transportation handle more pressure? And how will government ensure that the benefits of growth are shared fairly across the population? The figures show that St. Martin's population has grown from just over 39,000 people in 2017 to more than 42,400 in 2025. That is an increase of more than 3,200 people in less than a decade. During that same period, the island has faced major disruptions, including Hurricane Irma, the COVID-19 pandemic, economic uncertainty, rising living costs, and pressure on public infrastructure. Yet, the population has continued to trend upward. That makes planning more urgent. Population statistics are not just numbers for a report. They influence how many classrooms may be needed, how many healthcare workers must be trained, how many housing should be built, how roads are maintained, and how government prepares for disasters. They also shape the conversation around immigration, labor shortages, social services, and the country's long-term economic future. The new figures come at a time when St. Martin is already debating affordable housing, utility pressure, healthcare access, education, public safety, and cost of living concerns. A growing population can bring opportunity. More people can mean more skills, more entrepreneurship, more cultural energy, and a broader workforce. But without careful planning, growth can also deepen inequality, overcrowding, and a pressure on systems that are already stretched. That is why reliable data matters. Stat says it will continue updating the estimates as late registrations are processed and more information becomes available. For now, the message is clear. St. Maarten is growing. The question is whether the country's policies, infrastructure, and institutions are growing with it.
That's all the time we have for today's edition of Sint Maarten NewsDesk. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, new episodes premiere every weekday at 8 a.m. on TV 15 and across all our social media platforms. From all of us here at NewsDesk, we wish you a fantastic week ahead. Until next time, stay friendly, Sint Maarten.